On the morning of April 19th, 1775, a British force of 800 to 900 grenadiers and light infantry, after crossing the Back Bay from Boston, marched to Lexington, Massachusetts. Their objective was to reach Concord and seize and destroy the arms and ammunitions that British General Thomas Gage had been informed were stored there by the colonists. On Lexington Green, the British force was confronted by about 60 or 70 colonial militia who blocked the way to Concord. One of the commanders of the British force ordered the militia to disperse, but they refused. In seconds, a shot was fired. From where, no one ever knew. And then the British troops opened fire, killing 7 of the militiamen and seriously wounding 9 others. Those were the opening shots of the American Revolution. Hello, I'm Kent Masterson Brown, and welcome to the shot heard round the world, the coming of the American Revolution, colonial America to 1775. Why did the fighting erupt on Lexington Green in Massachusetts between a colonial militia force and the grenadiers and light infantry of Great Britain on the morning of April 19, 1775? And why was the event the beginning of a war between the American colonies and Great Britain? Think about it. The colonies were all settled by Englishmen under the authority of their king. Consider also, for example, that many of those holding positions of authority in the American colonies in 1775 were of English descent and grew up schooled in English literature, customs, laws, and governance. Many were communicants of the Church of England. It is true that as the colonies grew, many people arrived in the colonies who were not of English descent. Some were Scots-Irish, and others were Scottish, Irish, German, and French. None of those were communicants of the Church of England. Instead, they were Catholics from England and Europe, Huguenots or Presbyterians, Lutherans, Dunkards, Mennonites, Moravians, and Dutch Reformed. Nevertheless, the American colonies resembled the mother country in many ways. The architecture in the colonies reflected that seen in England, and the colonies even allied with Great Britain in its 7 Years' War against France. That war resulted in France surrendering to Great Britain all its vast lands in America, including all of what is now known as Canada and the Ohio and Mississippi River valleys in 1763. So with all this common history, common enemies, and mostly common culture, why did the colonists confront the British on Lexington Green? There were 13 colonies in America by 1754. The New England colonies consisted of Massachusetts Bay, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and New Hampshire, all established between 1620 and 1640. 4 middle colonies, New York, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. All were settled between 1613 and 1681. The southern colonies consisted of Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, and were settled between 1607 and 1733. Virginia, settled in 1607, was the oldest colony in America. Georgia was the newest colony, its settlement dating to 1733. In all, a little more than 1.5 million people lived in the American colonies by 1754.